During World War II, the sea is full of German fighter jets, many threats posed by warships and submarines. To ensure smooth shipping, the Allies could only organize strong escort formations. This fleet of large ocean-going freighters is responsible for the alliance. The Army's Eastern Battlefield transports military supplies. This batch of materials is very important. It can even determine the course of war. They are protected by the British escort group, heading towards the port of Murmansk. Suddenly, a blaring alarm bell tightened the heartstrings of everyone. This was no ordinary voyage for Sisson. Wait until the ship is on wartime alert. 2 Swedish gunners are also on standby at combat positions. The captain suddenly realized, a freighter not far away, there was a massive explosion. This unwitting attack. It is from the first German U-boat. This submarine comes and goes without a trace, haunted like a ghost. Therefore, it's a nightmare that haunts many crew members. The crew will never know. Will they be their next target? Then the rich dare not delay. Immediately issue a full rudder command. Watchtower will understand. Man the gunner immediately. Shell into designated waters. In this case, a cargo ship in the fleet was attacked. Other ships don't offer any help. The goal is to protect important military supplies on their respective ships. That's why they're so nervous. This time, the captain also looked through the telescope, found not far ahead, a looming German submarine. He felt hopeless and terrified, because he knows, you can't fight it with your own firepower. However, just when everyone was at a loss, a British escort plane swooped in. Heavy bombardment of the submarine's location. At the U-boat that was just making waves, instantly explodes and catches fire. Saw the submarine go up in smoke. The crew can finally relax for a while. Even with the protection of the British guard flock, they still dare not take it lightly. And without the protection of the chickens, what should they do? A few days passed peacefully. A total of 12 days of itinerary is also halfway through. Correspondent on this ship, awakened by the cacophony of a telegram, he quickly followed the signal, wrote a calm message on paper. When the captain sees the letter, instantly shocked by its content, hard to attach, he looked at the correspondent. The letter just now is to telegrams. The content of the first copy indicates that. Cancel your trip to a Soviet port. The second one is even more outrageous. Let the fleet disband on the spot. The captain knew it was the British Army's fault. Abandoned the entire fleet. His own Air Force formation turned around and retreated. There is no way. The captain can only find a large-scale discussion of countermeasures. And the next step. The latter indicates that there is no protection for the chickens. They are struggling. The seas are dangerous now. For the safety of crew and supplies, it's best to turn around and go back the same way. Although this plan seems sound, but for a battle-hardened captain, this was not the answer he wanted to hear. Because the captain understands what they are doing now. All contribute to the victory of the country and the war. If you return now, it will seriously affect the supply of frontline supplies. The captain didn't hesitate, determined to command the freighter. Continue to Murmansk, all the way. From time to time, other freighters will be received. SOS signal. This made everyone on board feel more heavy and tense. No one knows the next one to send out a distress signal. Could it be your own merchant ship? The captain also looked at it and was secretly anxious. But there is no good way. Only 2 additional patrols can be dispatched. And so it went on for a while. Observers suddenly spotted a giant freighter, just a dozen nautical miles away from them. Make a sudden decision. Immediately order rescue. Who knew that the captain had been walking on the sea for many years? A tiny change in direction. He can feel it right away. He quickly got up and stopped the axe, and banned the rescue of giant freighters. And the reason is very simple. If a giant freighter is attacked, the enemy army must be nearby. If there are other dangers, that distance, they could be in the same situation themselves. The captain was right to be concerned, because in a few minutes, giant freighter internalization, there was another violent explosion. Captain made observations with the telescope, accidentally discovered. There are more than a dozen mines floating in this sea area. Everyone instantly felt a chill on their backs. These mines were not deliberately placed here. See this situation. The captain immediately ordered the ship to stop. Top priority now. Just need to clear the surrounding mines immediately. This dangerous task. Naturally, it was handed over. Several young men who had just joined the crew. This mine is magnetic. As long as they get on the hull, it will immediately cause a violent explosion. The boy took out a wooden stick more than 10 meters long. Push a mine away with the strength of the milk. But too hard. He lost his balance. What's worse is, the rope tied to his body also suddenly slipped. The boy who fell into the water. There is no object to grasp. Can only be carried farther and farther as the waves are carried. The people on the boat saw this scene and looked at each other. No one dares to act rashly, no matter how rich their experience is. Rich did not dare to be in the sea covered with mines. Just get off the boat to save people. The second captain is more for the safety of the cargo ship. Order to move on. Give up the rescue of the South China Sea. How can you expect This directly ignited the anger of everyone and the rich. It was agreed that it all started with the captain's insistence, lost the protection of the escort group. They are like lambs to the slaughter in the sea, but what they don't understand is, the captain was well aware of Norway's defeat, and the Soviet Union in the eastern battlefield was also in trouble. They and the Soviet Union, facing the same enemy. The enemy of an enemy is a friend. So that's what kept him going. Just then, an ocean-going freighter on fire attracted everyone's attention. At the same time, two German fighter jets hovering over the freighter. It means that a battle is inevitable. In this situation, the captain immediately raised the alarm. The entire ship was instantly put into emergency readiness. Two specially hired Swedish gunners. At this time, it is also in full swing to give anti-air machine gun loading. Prepare to recall the color of the upcoming attack. Not long, German fighter jets began to face their direction, perform a dive, and the projectile gun started whirring. This is the only anti-air activity of the entire cargo ship. To effectively counter German fighter jets, it also depends on the speed of the ship itself. Soon the fighter jets began to reverse direction, prepare for a new round of airstrikes. However, this time he didn't get it cheap. Anti-aircraft machine gun hit several rounds in a row. The engine on the side of the plane was instantly engulfed in flames, fall into the sea. Although the first battle was successful, but also successful, attracted another plane. The latter attacked with intense firepower, but the people on board. There's almost no way to fight back. The captain also hurriedly shouted for the cannon. "Hand, keep shooting." But the crew in charge of loading the ammunition has been terrified of him. There was nothing they could do. We can only wait for the other party to launch a new round of offensive. Critical moment. A young man stepped forward, not afraid of bullets falling from the top of the head. Loaded machine gun ammunition. This allowed them to regain their firepower to fight back. In the blink of an eye, someone died on board, and the deck was also beaten in a mess, and started a fire. Just then, the crowd discovered an unfortunate fact. Window glass in the command room. I don't know when it was broken, and the inside fell to the ground. It was the captain himself who was in danger. Temporarily take over the captain's command report. Although the captain has decades of sailing experience, it's not much less. He is in danger. While observing the angle of enemy aircraft, while directing his men to adjust the direction of the bow, maximum, giving high-powered guns the best shot possible. Soon the enemy planes launched another offensive. But no matter what the pilots try, I just can't give the freighter a re-entry. Look at a ship that doesn't listen to counterattacks. The pilot became angry, turned around and dashed towards the freighter below. Want to sink the opponent in one fell swoop. But what he didn't expect was, the gunner is waiting for this time. I saw the latter, after a few rounds of accurate shooting, directly blow up both engines of the plane. The pilot also tasted the bitter fruit of impulse. At this moment, although the two fighter jets were successfully shot down, but Daffy's mood did not improve as a result. Because he knows very well, these German pilots are well trained. Before the crash, the coordinates of the cargo ship must have been determined, reported to the base, therefore, waiting for them. There will be more violent attacks and revenge. Now the freighter is riddled with holes, and to make matters worse, the ship's engine was also damaged. It also requires them to spend time repairing. Helplessly big while no one is paying attention, secretly injected a stitch into the captain's neck. He didn't intend to kill the captain, just want this main fighter take a break for a while, to give him and the crew more breathing time. Now here's the problem. That is always with the rich, dissenting female correspondent. So the rich man had to go back and forth on the map. Try to explain your decision to them. Explain sharply. If you follow the course you set, they can definitely avoid the German blockade. After some discussion, the correspondent agreed with him. Not long, the freighter sailed into a world of ice and snow. Birds don't shit here. Desolate. It was a really clever way to avoid the Germans. But then the questions came. The only anti-aircraft weapon on board is a high-powered gun. It has been moved by the Vanguard. Rich is not very worried about this. But just when he thought, when you can breathe a sigh of relief for a while, but suddenly found the captain's bedroom. There was no sign of the captain. Anxious Rich. I hurriedly searched one by one in the cabin. In a narrow storage room, he found the captain carrying a shotgun. It's been a long time since he. It turned out that the captain had already woken up from a coma. He knows what's going on outside. He also knows Daffy's choice. It seemed like the best strategy at the time, but the captain still didn't figure it out. The true purpose of wealth. However, just as he was about to ask the rich, the crew's loud cries came from the deck. It turned out to be the distant horizon. A German reconnaissance plane suddenly appeared. This also made the captain and Dafu dumbfounded. At this moment, that lonely patrol plane. They are still a long way from their ships. No one can say for sure. Did the other party find out their whereabouts? Captain is an unyielding fighter, but when the anti-aircraft gun has been frozen, also dumbfounded. However, he will not give up easily. After a few seconds of thought, he suddenly remembered his warehouse. There are 3 anti-aircraft guns that were supposed to be shipped to the front line. And plenty of ammunition. The difficulty now is, the crew can't do it in a short time. Bring the cannon to the deck. The captain immediately had a plan. He ordered his men, a big square hole in the deck. So you can let the barrel attack unaffected. At the same time, Dafu ordered the crew to find the white paint on the ship. Paint the whole boat white in full swing. In this way, maybe in this icy world, escape the detection of reconnaissance planes. Because the captain made this decision, let the gunner in the cargo hold. You can't see and aim on your own, and only rely on a crew member lying on the deck. Command the latter to observe the movement and bearing of the aircraft, and report to the gunner. The gunner then adjusts to a new direction. In a large sense, this method of shooting is simply impossible, facing highly mobile German reconnaissance aircraft. Can't say there is no hope. I have to say there is no hope at all. What's worse is, then the plane seemed to have sensed the captain's thoughts. They started flying straight in their direction. Everyone's hearts instantly jumped to horse throats. The captain pushed Dafu aside. He can't let the rich mood, shaking the confidence of Swedish gunners. When the plane came away from the cargo ship, at 3 miles, even at such a close distance, the doctor still trusts his own judgment. They thought it was impossible for the pilots to detect them. The correspondent on the side also praised. As long as there is a slight mishap and fails to hit the plane, they become living targets. Only a dead end, seeing that another war of words is about to start, and the fighter jets are still approaching. In the nick of time, the captain yelled at the noisy, "Keep the gunner focused. Don't hesitate. No need to be afraid." At this moment, all eyes and pressure are focused on the gunner, because you can't see what's going on outside. I can only trust the crew lying on the deck. Whip him off. Just seconds before the German fighter jet flew over the cargo ship, gunner pulsed recessive. In fact, his timing was exactly right. But the plane explosion that should have been. But it didn't come, because the cannon actually misfired at this time. What no one thought of was, the plane was also passing them at the same time. Fly away without looking back. At this moment, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The captain suddenly fell silent. It looks like boiling water that was still boiling just now. Suddenly frozen. He has always trusted his own judgment. But just now it seemed. There are times when his judgment will be wrong. Soon the engine was repaired by the workers. They were also able to continue on their way. The final leg of the voyage to Murmansk, and from this moment on, Germans would never have imagined or discovered. Their freighter will arrive at this time and route, heading towards the Soviet military port. So the whole movie ends. The movie Escort will be released in 2023. It's an action film directed by Henrik Martin. War movie. It's about an ocean liner, facing the German siege and interception, successfully averted danger many times. A thrilling story of a successful escape. As a small budget war movie, the ups and downs of the film, excellent battle scene, make this film an excellent plot. Masterpiece is very worthy of a wide audience to see the original film.